Welcome to the Secret Stash podcast, the official podcast for the Speaker's Secret Stash group of Destiny clans on PS4. This is a brand new Destiny podcast where we delve into the world of Destiny and other games. This is our pilot episode, which we are recording live on twitch.tv, and we are looking forward to creating a great show going forwards. A big shout out to our live audience on Twitch, who will probably say hello in a moment, and to those listening to us via the podcast. I'm JGO, and this is my fire team for the evening. First, we have the founder of the Secret Stash, Twig, 1987, a man whose weekly trials addiction was rudely interrupted by Bungie pulling the plug this weekend.
Good evening, ladies.
Next up, we have a Guardian who brings body-dropping donuts of pain to the Crucible, Irish Rogue, 82.
Evening, Stashers.
Now we have two of our rotating weekly hosts, Destiny Dick Snapper and Lord Soldier himself, Iron Woggles.
Hello there.
And finally, a Guardian who's decided that he's in a relentless pursuit of faction class exotics and Grimoire score has become an obsession, our recruitment guru, DO7 Monkey.
Hello.
So first we're going to be doing our segment 2 Stash Weekly Review. First up, let's discuss the past week in Destiny. So, what do you guys want to talk about first? We have some clan issues we can discuss, if anyone wants to do that.
Well, first of all, I'd like to bring up the lack of PvP this weekend.
Yes. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
Good
I was
starting
there. I was on my PlayStation Friday, loving trials. Well, kind of loving trials. Didn't actually make it to the lighthouse this weekend, but got very, very close a few times. Logged on Saturday after I came back from work, and elimination was in its place. I wasn't happy.
You wasn't the only one. I was very disappointed.
Fully describes that.
Yeah.
Like,
Because-
irritated beyond belief.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, as an initial sort of thing, yeah, granted, everybody was probably as irritated as they could be. But when you look at it in the long run, I encountered some of these problems that people were having. One of our fire team kept dropping out, and it kept sending us into trials on a 2v3. So yeah, I can understand if something's not working, then yeah, Bungie did the right thing thinking about it now. Obviously, at weekend I wasn't thinking that because I was sat on my PlayStation sulking. But yeah, I mean, Bungie did the right thing, and they normally do. It's one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
I
put up with it
personally
and
ran
get
into
on.
the issue. I got my application closed 4 times in a row whilst in orbit. So, if anyone says there wasn't an issue, there clearly was one, or it would have stayed there.
Yeah, there definitely was an issue, and people were saying, "Oh, just log out and go on to a different character, this, that, and the other." But I mean, the person that it was the same person that kept dropping out on our fire team, and he dropped out on all 3 of his characters. So I think it might have been just certain people that were affected. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not that into all the tech and mumbo jumbo that happens, but yeah, it must have just been affecting certain people.
So,
Did anybody experience Invisible Guardians this week? That's quite fun.
That is
did
actually
not.
one thing that I didn't. I did
Nope.
not come across one Invisible Guardian.
Because I jumped in on reset day doing Inferno 6v6, and I was the only player in the entire game who was visible, and everybody else was invisible, running around with shotguns, couldn't see them. Let's just say it wasn't fun.
That sounds like heaven. What are you on about?
Yeah.
Getting
That
shot
sounds
by
like
people that you can't see. Sounds absolutely amazing.
Regular riff that. Everyday occasion.
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, we were sprung with this sort of out of nowhere update that Bungie gave us. You know, obviously we made a lot of changes to the classes and what have you, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But it just goes to show that not everything goes perfect when Bungie do these updates. Obviously, there's a lot of coding and stuff that, like I said, I mean, I'm not that into all the know-how about it, but obviously things went wrong with the update.
This was more of a surprise update because they was going to fix the clan issues, and then we drop in patch 2.3 point whatever.
Yeah, it was just sprung onto us, like there was no word of it coming in the reveal of Rise of Iron or anything on Twitter. Just disappeared. And then everyone got salty because Tripman's got there. But we'll speak about that later.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next part. How have you guys found farming for Grasp of Malok on the Nightfall this week? Any of you guys had any good rolls or anything like that? I can certainly say from experience that I have had absolutely trapped rolls, and I will not be repeating the experience for now.
I really don't want to comment on my experience with it, to be honest. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, it's one of them things. It's just very, very sort of daunting, and it just doing the same thing over and over and over again, just trying to get this one weapon. And sometimes I did it in one party once, and it dropped 4 times in a row for the same person. Obviously, none of them good rolls. I think in the end, I'd
get the god roll first time.
Don't mention that to me. I probably spent close to sort of anywhere between sort of 10 and 15 hours farming it this week, or last week, sorry, and probably got, I wouldn't even say god rolls, I'd just say decent rolls. I probably got 2 decent rolls, that I would choose to use in PvP or, well, PvP, because I wouldn't use it in PvE.
I spent about 6 hours in there, and I got 1 decent roll, and it was fine the first 2 nights, and then that 3rd night, she wouldn't even stay tethered. Like, hit her with a tether, and she'd go flying up the ramp. It's like, really? If I log out, reset, try it again, same thing. At that point, it's not worth the effort you're putting into it. It's not worth the value you're going to get out of that one weapon that you're going to use for 3 matches in Crucible and then decide that it's garbage. I mean, this can't be bothered.
My personal experience with it wasn't overly fun. After spending a good part of at least 20 hours in it to get 1 roll that is semi-usable in Crucible, but will still not dethrone, say, my Hawksaw, Mida, Last Word. I see the point of farming it, but the amount of times people in the clan, like Sonic, have farmed it, like he's put in a stupid amount of hours, and just this week he got 1 amazing roll. Like, it's kind of a placebo. You think you're getting something good when you compare it to someone else's, and it's just complete garbage.
Just had a message here off Red Avenger, said he managed to get brace frame, perfect balance, and glass half full.
Jams.
Well,
Yeah,
Mr. Red Avenger can go away.
I mean, the best one I got was Head Seeker, Perfect Balance, and Stinking Feeding Frenzy. And that's when I gave up. I was like, I'm done with this.
My best one was... I think my best one was Counterbalance, Hand Loaded, and Feeding Frenzy. But it really felt so bad.
Yeah, I've got mine here. I've got a Counterbalance, Injection Mold, and Grenadier. That's the best roll I got on mine.
Oh, you got crapped on worse than I did.
You haven't seen mine yet, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh dear.
Everybody throw rocks.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was one of them things where people just spent stupid amounts of time on it. You know that, well, I already know because I've come up against it in PvP that, like, every man and his dog's got a Grasp of Malok now, and it's just absolutely everywhere. New meta, anybody?
Nah, I think the use of the grasp will die down when people get the knock on.
It's favour of the month, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. When people learn how to use Last Word.
Maps, but at long range, it's kind of, you're still gonna get wrecked by a Mida. I mean, it's not like it's not like it's the OP weapon that everybody thinks it is.
It's
I even
just
hear them
extremely
crying nerve.
consistent.
Yeah.
It's
I'm like,
extremely
why are you crying nerve?
It's 50-50 whether I beat somebody with my doctrine and on a one-on-one with somebody with a grasp. So
Yeah.
it's one of them.
Anyone else have anything to say about Grasp of Malak farming?
Not really.
I think we've covered that.
Nah.
Air speedruns in chat saying, do you want to talk about last night's speedrun?
No, I don't want to talk about last night's speedrun.
See, I wasn't aware of it. So, how did the speedrun actually go?
Let's just say Twig lost his temper.
Twig lost his temper? There's
I
nothing
lost
new
my
there.
temper and rage quit.
Waggles Jr.
Waggles Jr.
Waggles Jr. Yeah, no, I did get a little bit salty, but it wasn't. Well, yeah, it was me being a. Look, yeah, let's not say that, but yeah,
A little miserable.
It was sort of a build up of things. I was saying halfway through because we got to Oryx, we were approaching 50 minutes, so we weren't doing it mega quick, but we were still doing it a decent time, just sort of practicing. Halfway through Oryx, and I was saying, right, does everybody know where they're going for the orb detonations, this, that, and the other? And then somebody came back to me last night and was like, yeah, we all know what we're doing. You just take care of yourself. So I was like, right, I'll hold my hands up. I'll do what I'm doing. So we got to it. I was running on the second pad, so I was getting these orbs on pad 2. As I ran to my orbs, I turned round and there was nobody on pad 1. So I got a little bit salty.
Rage
But everybody knew what they were doing.
Well, everybody knew what they were doing, yeah, so it was okay. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them things. We're going to run through it. We're going to run through it again a couple of times, I think, and then hopefully have another crack at it on Tuesday.
For anyone wanting to watch the speedrun, it's on the Stash Twitch. You'll be the stream right after this one. You can watch Mossman's incredible save at Totems and Twig's Rage as well. So yeah, I definitely advise you going to check that out.
It wasn't. I've got to say though, it wasn't like a screaming sort of shouting.
It wasn't
punching
a Woggles. It wasn't a full Woggles.
Punching the TV rage. It was more of a, oh look at that, yeah, nobody's on that bad, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then I just went, right, I'm going, bye. Yeah. So that was that. I've not done much PvE for a while, and I always find for some reason that I always like rage a lot more at PvE. I don't know. I think it's because with PvE, all you have to do is follow the mechanics, and when somebody screws it up, I think it gets to me more because it's like something that could be easily avoided. Whereas with PvP, you either come across somebody that's better than you, or you make mistakes yourself, and then, well, that's why maybe that's the only time I get annoyed at PvP. But you can't really get too annoyed at it because it's like I say, it's either your fault or you're coming up against somebody that's epic,
or they're lagging.
Oh, they're lagging. Yeah, this is true. This is very true. But yeah,
Anyway.
That's all I have to say about the rage. Oh, sorry, speedrun, not rage.
Definitely.
Tangent.
Anyway, I think it's high time we moved on to the news. Now, I know it's not...
What news?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Has something happened in Destiny?
Well, apparently there has, because unless you've been hiding under a rock anyway, there's been some very interesting couple of weeks. We've had the Rise of Iron reveal stream, E3, and some more Destiny updates and patch notes. But first, the most important news of all of them. Galahorn is back, and it's in a sexy black and white paint. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's black and silver.
Yeah, black and silver, I'd say.
I think
Either
it's
way,
a good move.
it looks amazing.
It looks great. I mean, we'll see what its value is in the upcoming expansion.
How do you guys
Praying
think
for
it's
not
going
as
to work?
silly as it was before.
I think it's going to be the same as it was before, but for some reason I don't think it's going to be as powerful. I mean, the Galahorn. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm torn between whether they're going to sort of nerf the power of it, or whether they're going to just, I don't know, whether they're not going to
Increase the power of everything else.
Well,
See,
yeah, hopefully, because I mean, the Galahorn was good because it did an initial burst of energy, and then it did little trickles of energy, which kept the DPS coming in, which is why it was so good on things like Crota. Because, I mean, let's face it, as soon as somebody stopped shooting on Crota, he got his shield back, and the sword bearer was stood there with a sword in his hand, like, oops.
A deer in the headlights.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean,
Well,
that's why the Galahorn was used so much, I reckon, because it was just used in the raids and stuff, and it did do large amounts of damage to enemies, but it was one of them where if you had solar burn on a nightfall, you went in and you could just rocket a load of enemies, and then the Wolfpack rounds would come round and just finish everything else off, and it was absolutely brilliant. You know, it was just a very useful gun in year one.
It was the best. It was the best in slot by a mile. Like the truth was subpar in year one. But the thing is, Deej said in an interview with GameSpot that the Galahorn's going back to its former power. The only changes they've made is changes to its stats. They've reduced the velocity to where it was, and the reload speed, so other launchers can compete with it, like the Ash Factory and Iron Banner one and all that. It's great.
I can't believe you threw Ash Factory out there.
The Ash Factory is great with an okay roll.
With good roll, yeah.
Yeah, with good rolls, it's good.
The thing I'm worried about is LFG groups demanding you have a Galahorn. Because not everyone's going to have the Galahorn the first day Rise of Iron comes out. Yes, it's available through a quest, but we don't know how this quest comes about.
We don't even know.
It might be one of them, like the Sleeper Simulant. I mean, how long were
time
people
gated
looking for this? Yeah, I mean, nobody knew how to get it. It was, you know, obviously it came in a quest, but the quest only came about. I can't even remember how long it was after the
7th of the month
after the release.
Yeah, I mean, Sleeper had its own subreddit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Taken King came out early September, and we had to collect those 4 Devalin relics. And then I think it was early November or mid-November where we actually seen the Sleeper come about, and it was so underwhelming that I don't want a time-gated quest in the next DLC, because in my opinion, it's retarded to time-gate weapons away from people, because there were people that say they never experienced the Black Hammer in year one and wanted the Spindle. If they missed that initial day, they was waiting 3 or 4 weeks to get it until the newest patch. And that's just wrong.
Yeah, and then obviously it would fall on a day, you'd be at work, you wouldn't be able to get online, and then you have to wait another week. Yeah, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I think they just assume that nobody else has a life outside of the video game world. So.
Yeah, that could be true.
They've made a lot of quality of life changes recently, which in my opinion should have been in the game since day one. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah, but you can't get things right the first time, can you?
Yeah. It's a learning experience. I'm still learning how to shoot people in Crucible with certain guns.
Well, yeah, that's it.
It's one of those things.
Anyway, moving swiftly onwards, we have a new enemy faction, a new raid, a new strike, a new reworked strike, a new social space, a new location, the Plaguelands, and the Wall. And we also have a chance to learn about some figures in lore mystery, known as the Iron Lords. Now, Dan, I know you're a relatively large lore person. What can you tell us about the Iron Lords?
Well, basically, we're familiar with the Iron Lords from the Iron Banner, from mostly the weapons that we gained in year one, the likes of Felwinter, Radagast. I can't name them all off the top of my head. They caught me off guard. But basically, there are 9 Iron Lords. Saladin is obviously the last of them. He is the number 10. We will be discovering what happened to the Iron Lords in this new update. we obviously go after the Malahorn, which is going to be part of the quest line for this, which is going to be really exciting. But I can't tell you much. Like, we don't really know where we're going to go with it, but it's going to be really good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that this new DLC it expands. Well, I mean, I can't see it not doing really, but I mean, it's going to tell us that whole section of
Yeah.
lore of Destiny.
It'd be nice to actually have the lore in the game rather than have to go to your phone and
Yeah, rather than to have to go and watch Bice videos.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, but I also enjoy sort of going watching stuff and finding it out of the game as well a little bit. Yeah. You know, I'd like for there to be a little bit more of the story in the actual game. But then I do like the idea of the grimoire cards and how we get the story from that as well. So yeah, because I mean, if it was somebody that didn't read any of the grimoire or go and watch any of these Destiny lore videos or anything like that, they wouldn't really have that much of an idea about what Destiny was about. But you know, I mean, after sort of like every quest or something, just like maybe a little cutscene or something, just to sort of make people want to learn more about the game, maybe. That's what
And that would be thrilled if they would take and put us a UI version of the Grimoire cards into the daggone game. That way I don't have to get off to go look at it.
Yeah, I think they could do that in
another
collections. Like,
Yeah.
Year 1 was Grimoire heavy. If you didn't read the Grimoire, you had no idea what was going on. We knew Atheon in the Vault of Glass was this bad thing, but we don't know the purpose of why we had to go in there and defeat him. We knew Crota was a god, but why did we have to kill him and all that? Taken King expanded on the Grimoire through having more detailed writing and story and cutscenes. And going forward with Rise of Iron, it said new cutscenes. So I'm intrigued if like it's going to have us in the current present day of Destiny, past all the battles and everything, showing us a cutscene with Saladin, or they can transfer us back to when the Iron Lords were defending the wall from this Siva plague that's coming in, and if we learn about how they all came to pass apart from Saladin, if you get what I mean.
What I feel would be an interesting take on it is if we get to play as the Iron Lords.
It says on Bungie.net that we're going to become the Iron Lords.
Exactly.
So,
become a Iron Lord, not the
You're becoming a Iron Lord.
Well, maybe a hunter becomes someone like Gaelon, or whoever the hunters are in the Iron Lords. Titans become whoever it is, and Warlocks become whoever it is, and then you go back in your fire teams to defend the past, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just wishful thinking, but could be something like that.
Well, I mean, as we know it, all the Iron Lords are dead. So it could be one of them where, you know, they're trying to sort of create, you know, recruit for more Iron Lords and train, because well, that's what Lord Saladin's been done, isn't it? Doing, isn't it? With the Iron Banner every month, he's been sort of training us up in the Crucible to for us to become better Guardians. So maybe they're
Iron Lord, they could be infected with the Siva virus, and we have to fight them.
that'd be interesting.
They could do a Dark
I
Souls.
hope so.
I'm not sure we're gonna win that battle, but I'm in.
I don't know. We've become legends since Destiny came out. We're pretty beefy now. We're not kindergartens anymore.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on the new enemy faction, Siva?
I like
It looks terrifying. It looks really scary. Like, the Fallen Splicers, they look so good and so creepy in comparison to what we've had, because the Taken were just reskins of enemies we've seen before with new features.
Yeah.
But the Splicers are so new, like Peg Dreg Pete.
Yeah, I mean, even though they are copied or, you know, upgraded
They are the
versions
base
of
Fallen.
They are zombie Fallen.
They're
zombies. They're basically
look
zombies.
Like a brand new.
Well, they're cyborg.
Yeah. Well,
They're more cyborg than zombies.
Yeah. Well, they're using this Siva, nanotech, whatever it might be.
Warmind thing.
Basically
Augment
upgrade themselves. Yeah, I mean they want to become the ultimate race, don't they, and just destroy everyone.
They kind of remind me of a mix of like a Tim Burton movie meets Terminator, and that's
Yes.
kind of where it went.
Because
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
you get that big shot of that fallen like Kel with that big cannon on his right arm.
Yeah, we do
Which-
actually know what his
I
name
think
is,
that's
don't we, as
weird.
well? Don't we know? It's the machinist or something like that?
Yeah,
Machinist?
there's a snippet of it in one of the trailers.
Well, we assume
I
that's
think
his
he's the
name,
strike
unless
boss.
they put that in
Yeah.
as a troll.
I think he's going to be the new strike boss. Because you see that big servitor behind him.
Oh, that big dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you
that guy,
also
yeah.
see the large axe smashing that large servitor, and you know we've already been told that the axes are going to be part of the either raid or strike, so I'm thinking that that'll be part of that built in. And if you see him standing with him, you can only kind of make the assumption that they'll be part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, going on to the axes, what do you guys think about the axes? What do you think they're going to do? How do you think they're going to... Well, we know how they're going to work. They're going to be like scorch cannons, but what are their
Yeah, I mean,
abilities? What do you think?
I think everybody's gonna have the initial hype for the axe, and don't get me wrong, I'm gonna as well. But I think that hype will soon run out. It was one of them with the Scotch cannon. Everyone was like, "Oh, I can get these cannons. You can blow up all the enemies.
Yeah.
Do this." And then a week later, nobody was worried about them. So it's one of them. It could go one of two. It could, it could, because nobody first cared about the swords when we had them in year one, and we could like drop them on the
Yeah.
on the
Patrol.
the normal
Patrols.
mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Native creature, wasn't it?
It was the,
Nobody really bothered with them that much. Well, I mean, we'll see. Because don't get me wrong,
gonna
they
be
do look like the
interesting to
coolest
see.
drop that we've had, but
Yeah, because I mean, like with the Blades of Crota, the sword was preparing us for the raid essentially, because you needed to use a sword
Yeah.
for Crota. So whether this is going to be something that we will utilise in the raid and picking it up in patrol is going to something that we're going to get used to the mechanics of it out on patrol. We'll still have to see.
similar with Scorch Cannon, because on the first House of Wolves quest, it has you pick up a Scorch Cannon, and it's this fallen ancient tech of amazing power, but they were kind of
Very
lackluster.
underwhelming.
Yeah, so I'm hoping the axes are a lot better than what that was, but it also has that like initial like drive for people to go and get it. Not that like the event's coming around every 15 minutes in patrol, you can go get it whenever you want. It should be like this really rare thing, because it seems it's been blown up to be really powerful and rare.
Anyway, we've had a quick question. How long do you think Bungie should wait before releasing the raid in Rise of Iron?
A week.
yeah, I'm gonna go a
Do you think
week.
that's a bit soon?
No,
I
she
would
did it
say
with Taken
2
King.
weeks. Well, I'd say 2 weeks, because with Taken King, I noticed a real
We had
trend
2 days,
of
2 or 3 days.
people did not
It
have
was 3 days. It
time
released on the
to
Friday,
prepare
didn't it?
themselves.
Yeah.
Taken King dropped the Tuesday. The raid was on the Friday.
And people
Yeah.
are done by Friday. They've done the raid. What else is there to do? No, well, that's
Yeah.
And
a
well,
sarcastic,
when you release something that large and everybody's going to do it, I'm gonna get before anybody gets upset when it happens. There are going to be server issues. There are going to be lag issues. There are going to be
Oh, yeah.
bugs
Yeah.
here and there. So releasing it a week after everything doesn't feel like it gives them enough time to adjust
To
for what's
prepare.
going to fall during
Bungie's,
that time.
to Bungie's credit, though, this is probably one of the most bug-free raids out of all of them, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apart from
Atheon.
teleporting ogres, yeah.
Yeah, XS just made a good point in the chat. He said everyone moans about content, but completes it all in 2 weeks because they want to be the world first. It's true.
Yeah.
People
It's funny, I was
absolutely
listening
hammer the
to-
way through the content and then complain when it's over.
I was listening to Planet Destiny podcast the other day, and they was complaining
Traitor.
about lack of content, and they haven't even completed. Some of them haven't even completed like the chaperone quest or
I haven't.
the sword quest and stuff like
I
that. You
haven't.
think, well, how can you moan on the content? There's content there right in front of you, and you haven't done it.
Well, that's the problem. There's so much content that some people just feel that, oh, I've done all the stuff which is easy to do. Why do I need to do the hard stuff? I'm sort
Why
of
do I
feeling
need
that
to
way with
grind
the exotic
spin metal?
quests. Yeah. Well, you don't now, but still.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. When Taken King came out, I took the I took 3 days off work, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I just ploughed through all of them quests that we got given, and made sure I got all of them done. After that, then it was up to me what I did. You know, I could do patrols, I could do, get better at PvP, level myself up, ready for the raid on Friday. I mean, luckily, I was sort of gear ready for the raid on Friday, but I know that a lot of people who, don't take the time off work or don't have the time to get on every night, they're not going to get raid ready in time. If it drops on the Friday, it's,
I think everyone should have at least a week or two.
Following week, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think a week's a reasonable time because people have got the, not normally people are hammering it on the reset anyway.
Yeah.
They can go on for a couple of hours in the evenings every other evening or something like that. Then they've got the weekend to play, and then they've got reset again. I mean, no doubt the raid won't drop right on reset. It'll probably drop like it normally does.
6 p.m.
It's 6 p.m. here, isn't it, in GM there?
Yeah.
Over in the UK, so.
Another question
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the chat. Do you guys agree with the new level cap? Should it be less or more?
Ooh, this one that we've got now, I reckon it should have been a lot more.
I think it should have been
335 on
340.
the first day.
I think it should have been 340 to 350-ish. Because it just seemed weird to increase it by 15 when it's always been a really linear system in tens.
I mean, I would have said 350 at minimum because I mean between 320 and 335, there's no
there's not a
actual
significant power
noticeable
spike.
difference. Yeah, when it comes to stuff like competitiveness in like PvP and stuff like that, you don't notice any real difference coming up somebody that's 320 and you're 335. I mean, it's
I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't 365 because we saw a lot of that in year one. The Galahorn, used to be all the exotics used to be leveled to 365, so that's a number they've used before.
Unless they're trying to tell us that there's going to be another content drop before Rise of Iron, which is highly unlikely, but you never know. They might just drop it randomly on us about a month or so before
after
Rise
this
of Iron.
patch, why not?
Yeah.
I don't see another
what
free
could go
update.
wrong?
No, me neither.
I
but
don't
still.
either.
I don't see another free update coming in this cycle of Destiny. What I think they're going to do is they're going to give us more of the live team events like SRL and stuff like that because
They've already
SRL
tried
was
that
an
and it
idea
sort
for
of failed.
SRL was the only successful one though. Like everyone seemed to get in on the bandwagon for SRL because it gave you loot that was just funny and kind of gimmicky, but everyone seemed to be alright with it, and it was just fun to do. Whereas some people find farming strikes really tedious and boring. SRL kind of broke that.
I'd like a return to
used
SRL.
To drop 320 helmets at the time as well. It was almost a guaranteed place to try and get them from.
Everyone needed the 320 helmets and class items, so there's about half of the player community in SRL racing.
Anyway, moving on a bit from speculation, what do you guys think about the new PvP that should be coming with Rise of Iron? What do you think it's going to be? Blah blah blah. What do you guys think about it?
I'm skeptical.
I
Really am. Because in that little tree they showed, they had new features, but Deej said that's going to be highlighted later, and I'd say a solid 90% of the community is private matches and custom games coming to Destiny with Rise of Iron. I highly doubt it'll be this year if custom games become a thing, because if they wanted it in by this time, they'd had it from the start. And it's just,
We all
PvP is
want
a
it to
weird
come.
thing in this game. Everyone wants it.
We all want it to come, but I don't reckon it'll come with Rise of Iron. If anything, it'll come with a sequel, I reckon.
Well, if you look at from a professional and technical standpoint, building custom games into a system like this would definitely require an entire server farm with multiple clusters, because it's not possible to host that custom game on my box. I'm gonna tell you now, it's just not gonna work that way. Especially since the maps for custom games, you'd have to have the entirety of the ability, you know, all of the pieces to download to your system, which would make it huge. And that's not gonna work because a lot of people don't have the space on their PlayStation. First of all.
Yeah, I think that's why they've avoided it, because Destiny is a huge game. There's no denying it. The file size
like
needed for
80
Destiny
gigs.
is massive.
Wow.
And with the loss of last-gen consoles, it's a step in the right direction to avoid it for us that have the current gen with PS4s, and with upgrades to the PS4 and Xbox One coming, they can definitely do it. It's just going to take a lot longer than what people expect. They expect too much too quickly, in my opinion.
So if you guys don't think we're going
in,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
in their defense, I don't think they're expecting too much too quickly. I think they're expecting that Bungie should have honestly done the right thing the first time. Everyone told them from the get-go that an MMO FPS of this size should not be hosted over a web port in your system using your connection. That was told to them from the beginning, and we're in 2016. No other game does this, and there's a reason they don't. And they just kind of said we can make it work, and honestly they did at first, and now it's kind of biting them in the hind.
Yeah.
Because it's grown so much.
I mean, it's the only current gen game. It's the only current gen game that's run at 30 frames per second. Going to 60 frames is noticeable, but not kind of. But because of its popularity, it's a requirement for me, because it makes for a much smoother feel to the game. Call of Duty is at 60 frames, and not many people in the stash are fans of COD. But the one thing it does well is it's got dedicated servers and runs at 60 frames almost perfectly.
Well, Overwatch is a good example.
Yep.
Yeah,
Overwatch is another good one. Yeah.
And Overwatch also launched with their custom games inserted its beta, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Anyone else
As
have
for
anything
Crucible
to say?
Crucible maps need to be good with Rise of Iron. Like they don't.
No, they don't need to be good. They need to be amazing.
Yeah.
They don't need people from Bungie testing it. They want to get some of the more competitive people in the community, like Luminosity, Triple Wreck, and all that lot, to test the maps. Yeah. Not in-game testers, because they'll understand. The people that play it competitively will understand what makes a good map. I mean, Anomaly is a bad map in my opinion. It's got no flow to it. Everyone just runs around with a shotgun. There is no flow to that map at all. But then you take it to Bannerfall, which has a flow because it's got the lanes, it's got choke points you need to hold and everything. It's a well-structured map.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so in summary, I think all of us are in agreement that we don't think custom games are coming with Rise of Iron. It's not, to me, something like custom games and 60 FPS. They're not going to come with a DLC. They're going to come with a hard copy. They're going to come with a CD. So I think the next thing that we're looking at for that is a Destiny sequel. I mean, everybody's going around saying, "Oh, Destiny 2, this, that, and the other," but that's just what everybody's calling it. You know, there is no Destiny 2 planned. It's just going to be when the next sequel comes out.
In the roadmap Deej gave, they did say a large-scale DLC would be coming out this year, which is Rise of Iron, and then they're planning, emphasis on planning, to release a full CD game in 2017.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
which is right on track with the 10-year plan of 4 games.
Yeah, it's perfectly on track.
Yeah, it'll probably finish off this this stint that we've had with this Rise of Iron.
Game.
And then next year, I'm hoping sometime early next year, sort of at least first, possibly maybe second quarter, that they release the sequel and tie it all off nicely with the Rise of Iron. But we can only see. We can only hope.
We can only speculate at this point.
Yeah.
Because Bungie like to release their big releases in September, so
a game would be third quarter to compete with the other AAA titles.
Unless
Yeah.
it's
Well,
going to be another sort of
not
Outer Worlds
necessarily.
kind of update.
Think about how
Unless
smart
they,
it would be to release your game right before summer.
Yeah, that's what I
Think of
mean.
the profit
They could,
margin.
they get people interested before summer, let people play all summer, and then when all the other big release games come out at the end of the year, that's
Hit them
when
with the
Bungie
DLC.
drop the next DLC. And then
Right.
people are like, oh, I really love this. Let's download the DLC and play that. And then they spend another, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it is, on that until the next DLC.
Yeah.
Bungie have us trapped, people.
So what do we think the new PvP game mode will be then?
I've been thinking about it, but I have no idea.
Capture the
I
flag.
was thinking, well,
Capture
you
the
flag.
say
No,
capture the
Rift.
flag, but that's basically Rift.
No, Rift is a neutral zoned entity that you take to the other member's zone. Capture the flag is 2 points on the map, each side, and you go to your enemy's base, pull their point or flag, and bring it back to your base. It makes you traverse the entire map instead of half of it. Basically, Rift is a cut in half capture the flag, whereas capture the flag is a true full map style playground. And that,
Yeah.
I think that would give, and you don't even have to call it capture the flag. I don't care what they call it, but it has to be something that involves the whole map. The only real game we have right now that involves the whole map is Seek and Clash, and that's horrible. It's the worst game mode out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to
Kind of
see
much worse than Salvage.
6v6 salvage, the dream. But
salvage.
Oh,
I'd like to see a game mode.
Not good.
I want a game mode where you have to hold points on a map, like hardpoint in other games.
Hardpoint.
I
There
think,
you go.
yeah, I'd like to see, because every map in this game can easily be fixed around it. Twilight Gap, you've got neutral zones, you've got the party room between A and C, you've got the B cap flag and all that. It can be so easily implemented. It's just no one knows what it is. Everyone speculated on Reddit and with Bifin that it's going to be more players in a fight in a game. I don't think that will ever happen. The maps would be too chaotic.
Do you think they'd ever do
Would,
like
sorry.
a gun game mode where you'd have to pick up a particular weapon, a bit like Gold?
I was going to say, Sonic just put that in the chat, gun game. That would be
That would
Yeah,
be
but-
nice. That'd be
That'd
very
be
fun.
fun, but it'd be.
You start off
I
with
feel like
Havoc
that'd be very
Pigeon.
buggy.
Havoc Pigeon, Sword Hill. Start off with Sword
Oh,
Hill. Let's go.
Sword Hill. No, that'd be the last one, wouldn't it? You'd have to kill someone with a sword hilt on the last one.
Or you just start off on melee. I mean,
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, because Sunlock will just destroy you with Flame Shield.
Well, that's it.
oh yeah.
A mode with only
Or,
big maps.
yeah, Blade Dancer would get you with front stab. Or is it back stab? I can't remember. It is, whatever it
it's
is,
side
it hits you from no matter where a Blade Dancer hits you, it hits you full damage and you're dead.
It's just GG. But I think we've gone on long enough on this topic.
Yes,
shouldn't
we
we?
certainly have.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I could go on all day about PvP.
Anyway, about a week ago we had a balance patch. We're not going to cover all of the points, but we have our resident Irish rogue to talk us through a couple of the major points of the patch. Would you like to do that now, Irish?
Yeah, so, alright, there's been a lot of hate mail and a lot of angry guardians out there that don't want to accept the fact that their subclass was overpowered and had abilities that no other class could control or counter. And they got really upset about it, and a lot of these were not meant to single your subclass out. Some of these were meant to balance out the game, and everybody says, well, it's all about PvP, but it's not. It was not all about PvP. They don't just Bungie doesn't just test PvP. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be serious here for just a second.
Their main focus is PvE. So
Yes, and you can see that because has a raid ever been canceled? Has COE ever been turned off? No. So people got to stop being biased in the fact that it's not just because PvP is your whining. It's not even about that. It's about the game as a whole, and Bungie wanting to. They've got the only game right now out there that merges PvE and PvP in almost a perfect symbiosis, to where you actually have to kind of do both to get through the game. So the patch, what they did was balance out the classes so that, honestly, so that this coming Rise of Iron won't be as,
One-sided.
One-sided, and everybody's playing the same character with the same weapons with the same subclass. So that's their goal, and some of the things that were changed were like the Titan Sunbreaker. If you're gonna argue with me that the Titan Hammers didn't need a buff, then you haven't been playing Destiny. You've been watching something else, because they were very broken. They didn't have the abilities to do anything through the whole system. I mean, they couldn't use their super; it was worthless.
Yeah, a lot of hunters are a bit salty because they can't make unicorns out of guardians with their trip mines anymore.
And
That's a good- that's-
I love unicorning people. I mean, I love it. I mean, it is almost the best thing in the game.
It was one of the better feelings because it's got no tracking on it. It's the one grenade that you could stick to people that didn't
That required
have
some form
sort
of
of
skill.
traffic. Yeah.
Yep.
if you
So
look
that's
at
why it
Flux-
felt so good. But,
Is it flux infusion grenades that you can
Yep.
throw that in a
Yeah.
radius
Yeah.
close to people and it will stick to it? Like I've had flux grenades bounce off walls and stick to me when I'm miles away from them, and that's made me proper butthurt, kind of like all the hunters in this patch. But all the balances are so good for everyone. Like
Yeah.
Sunbreaker's got the buff it needed because the hammers were thrown. It was so slow. It was just stupid.
And it didn't
You
cause
had
the
to
proper
lead-
damage.
Yeah, you had to lead your target so much with a hammer, and now like it's only in like is it like a 1.5% travel speed? But that's significant in PvP because it's all about those split-second decisions you make.
And the transition with those Sunbreakers and how they were having their animations kind of long, kind of like the Warlock and the Blade Dancer.
Yeah.
Their animation's so long, by the time you actually get to whip a hammer, the person you were trying to hit, it's already
It's
clear
killed
across
you.
the map. Or you're
Yeah.
dead, or you're dead. And it needed to be balanced. And then, they changed a little bit of the Fist of Havoc, and I'm going to disagree with what they did there, but okay, I'm sure they had their reasoning to change it and make it stronger. But they really only changed it against AI combatants.
Yeah.
Which is
The
a welcome
PvP
change.
portion,
Yeah.
it's a one-hit anyways. I mean, I don't care if you get fisted, you're done. I mean, you can increase that damage all you want, it's not going to matter. You're dead anyways, so who cares how much they increase it? As long as they don't increase, like, the radius. I mean, you already can't jump over them when they do it, it's a sphere. The grenades, for the Titans, they changed those spike grenades, and yeah, that was good. Nobody really uses them.
I didn't see the point of the spike grenade change. Every
I didn't
defender
either.
Titan uses suppressor grenades because of how strong they are.
All day.
And then everyone that doesn't play Titan a lot is butthurt that lightning grenades are really good and like, oh, nerf Titan, please. But the lightning grenades have always been really good, and they're so easy to avoid. If you're saying nerf it, you're just small-minded because you can shoot it.
No.
The radius is massive. The radius is massive on a lightning grenade.
It's too far.
That's my only problem with it. If it was brought in a little bit and say you're not getting sniped with it around corners.
Well, when you throw it into a room, a 40 by 40 room,
Oh, it's gonna.
It
You
literally
know you're gonna hit
codes-
everyone in that room.
yeah, and that's a little much.
Yeah.
No other grenade has that radius. Even the Warlocks with their overpowered grenades didn't even come close to covering that radius.
No.
I think the reason it's like it is because the striker kit is so close quarter. Like you have to be in front of people to Fist of Havoc them. Even though the radius is big, it's a suicide mission. Sometimes when you're charging someone, I think that's the only reason why it's kind of like it.
But you shouldn't be able to get two lightning
Two tap by a
grenades
grenade.
and be able to wreck an entire team in the matter of seconds of the round starting. Come on,
Yeah.
that's a tad bit ridiculous. It kind of defeats the purpose of PvP at all altogether. So I just wish they'd cut that range down a little bit. And the pop off time by about 2 milliseconds, because sometimes, and it's probably just latency, but when it pops off, you don't have time to move. You can't avoid it sometimes. It just boosh and it blows up, and you're already dead.
A lightning grenade lasts for 6 ticks. 7 if you have aftershocks on, which most good Titans shouldn't have that on. That perk's useless. It's delicate because people are getting butt hurt too easily when something gets touched. So I think that's why Bungie left it untouched for now, anyway. we don't know what's coming in action come Rise of Iron. Like, they could completely reinforce changes they've made now and wipe them away.
Boy, that
What's
night,
your take on?
I think. Go ahead, bud.
Sorry, what's your take on incendiary grenades? Exites mentioned it in the chat.
They're good.
I think incendiary grenades are okay where they are.
They're
Yeah.
fine where they're at.
If you stood on top of one, let's face it, you do deserve to die.
Yeah.
If you're a couple of feet away from it,
You're
it's
just
gonna
get a
it's
tick.
it's gonna take you down, and you're gonna take a tick of damage. It's gonna burn you for a little bit. I think incendiary grenades are fine. But then again, I thought firebolts were fine where they were as well.
That's because you play a Warlock now.
It's because I do play Warlock Masterclass. Thank you very much.
And
But yeah.
the incendiary grenades are not overpowered. They're not underpowered. They're just fine. The only
Yeah,
grenades that
I think they're cool.
yeah, and I've been killed a couple of times the last couple of days with incendiary grenades, and I'm not upset with the guy that threw it because I stood on top of it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them where it was right place, right place, wrong time, or they actually use skill to use, because I mean them things you can throw them off walls and they will bounce off walls to go around corners and stuff, and I mean if somebody kills you with a grenade kill like that, then well in my opinion they deserve the kill.
It's such a small blast radius as well, where you'll take a lot of damage. If you're just walking away from it and turn your back to it, you're just going to take the burn. The burn got changed from 7 to 4. It doesn't last as long as it did. You're going to be fine.
It was only knocking me down to a quarter shield. I mean,
the main change that we needed on grenades was skip grenades and the wombo combo, because they were dumb. The skip grenade would track you all the way across the map, and the wombo combo was so strong you couldn't avoid it if it hit you at times.
There's a lot of speculation and argument on that wombo combo, and I'm with you. I really am. I think it was wrong the way it worked. It should not.
Yeah.
And everybody, you can counter it. You could just jump out of it. No, you couldn't jump out of it. You were dead before you could jump.
Yeah.
Not
As
until
soon as you were poisoned, you knew the grenade was coming,
right.
and you knew that you were dead. I mean, it was one of them that I find as well that it took very little skill to use.
It feels like it's tracking you.
I mean, it did. It's just basically slow somebody down and then throw a grenade at them. It was like, oh, cheers.
And if they don't die, rush them with the shotgun because the poison still got them if they're at the grenade.
Yeah.
I think what they did with that was great. They had a very good, push on that and trying to change it. And I've only been killed once or twice since then with the wombo combo. I mean, it still works though. I mean, I have the kills with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now
It's
you
still
just
out
have
there.
to use
Everybody's still
skill.
using it.
I mean, you gotta try to use it. I mean, you gotta hit him in the face with that daggone smoke grenade, and then hit him in the face with that fire grenade instead of, just throwing it near him. And that's, in my opinion, this is a competitive PvP game. You should not be. You're good or you're not. I mean, you shouldn't be able to get free kills just because of poor programming.
You threw a poison smoke at someone.
Yeah, I mean that's silly. Come on. And since we're on grenades, all of you that are crying about trip grenades, I'm sorry that they touched your trip grenades, but I have been constantly destroying people with trip grenades in the Crucible for the last week, so they still work.
They still one hit.
They're perfect.
They will one hit a low armor guardian. That's the only stipulation. But they work.
And if they're high armor, you can't always.
The highest armor will hit
kill.
for the highest armor guardian for each class. It will always hit for 188 damage. If you've put your trip mine in an advantageous spot, you'll pick up the kill if you're watching that lane you put it. It's more of a zoning mechanic now than I'm going to play extremely aggressive with 2 trip mines and throw them at you and just hope for the best.
You can't just run down the hallway and whip trip mines anymore and get 2 kills. I'm okay with that. And I have all 3 classes. I love my warlock, but I mean, there's got to be balance, and that was a good balance for me. I felt that the trip mine was overpowered and it needed to be just kind of cut down a little bit, because everybody's saying, oh, you don't get 3 warlocks or 3 hunters in a match, and I'm trying to figure out when the last time they played Trials was, because there were 3 hunters in matches all day long. So they're only factoring in their experience in the Crucible, which is that's one part of the game. You know, we gotta factor everything.
I think the changes came in because they want to avoid what happened in year 1. Because let's face it, all year 1 was Blink Shotgun, Blade Dancer. That's all year 1 was for like 6 months. Exotic Hand Cannon, Matador, Felwinter, or Poetic Crasher with it. At least knee pads or rangefinder, and you're golden. That was year 1 meta. But in year 2, it's year 2's had a constant fluctuating meta, and like everyone gets used to it, and then they hit us with a change, which I love because it means you've got to adapt quickly to succeed, which is what it should be.
You should be having to and there's gonna be a lot of hate for me saying this, but everybody should have to do their research just like the rest of us that actually put it in to be good at their class.
Yeah.
And to understand the mechanics of each class. The ones that complain about one class but don't actually have a character of that class, I won't even listen to your argument.
To learn it. Yeah, if you don't go out of your way to learn something, you can't complain about it.
That's right. It's gotta be. I hate it for everybody, but it's gotta be fair. And right now, I've been playing Crucible since the patch, and I'm not gonna lie, it is the most balanced I've seen it since year 1. Since day one. It's fantastic. It's awesome. There's still latency, but the classes aren't. No one Titan is running around just destroying a whole team.
Yeah. The only subclass I'd say that is slightly above the rest right now is Stormcaller, because of its kit.
Well, yeah, because
it's so rare you will run into a really good Stormcaller. Like the odds are 1 in thousands. I've started playing Stormcaller to get used to it, so I can counter it. I've been in some massive games. There's also been games where I've been shut down really easily, which is what a super should be. It's like I'm trying to think. In Call of Duty, you've got the specialists. If the specialist was at leaps and bounds with everyone else, they brought it down to level it, and that's what the supers are now like.
Yeah, and that's what they should be. The supers should not be a team ender. That's not what.
No, it should be a tactical thing.
That's right. A utility, not a. Yeah. The game should revolve around your weaponry. I'm just gonna be honest. First of all, your primary. Those of you that are sitting in the back of the map doing nothing but sniping each round, and you're proud of your KD, I'm sorry, you're not a great player. You need to learn to use your primary. All right, because when you get into the more competitive environments, you can't just sit in the back of the map and snipe, because somebody's gonna run up behind you and put a shotgun.
If you get into a one-on-one, if you don't know how to use your primary in a one-on-one, you're gonna lose 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah, GG. I mean, that's it.
The thing is with supers now is let's take an in-game situation. The Titan Ward of Dawn. Best use, put it on the spark, put it on a control point, but then it can be countered by a golden gun. The Nova Bomb will kill everything in it if it impacts it. Fist of Havoc. It's everything is now easily countered. It makes for a much more fun PvP meta. Because when TTK came out, the Sunbreaker was broken. I'll admit it. The Sunbreaker was utterly broken because of the amount of armor it had was ridiculous. I mean, I loved it. I loved
basically walk around the map, just walk out the road, just throwing hammers everywhere. It was a little bit broken.
He was essentially a raid boss in PvP.
With core tries regenerating your health as well was just unreal.
Yeah, that's it.
And then on another thing on the patch notes I've seen a lot of disgruntled Guardians about is the change on Shade Step and Twilight Garrison. Okay, Shade Step, it needed a cooldown. I'm sorry, it needed a cooldown. You should not be able to evade 3 times
everything that's coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't just be able to roll out somewhere, get a shotgun kill, roll back into safety. I mean, that's just get a grip and get a life. Just play tactical, get better at the game. You shouldn't have to rely on a perk for you to be able to get kills.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What's really funny now is having people mash that circle button and then do a shade step and then teabag and it gets shot.
Teabagging the floor like, oh, I can't get away! Ah.
It's just made it so you have to be more skilled with it to use it. You have to learn how to time it.
plan your tactical retreat instead of
You've
just
got
being
to-
able to jam buttons.
I
You
mean,
have
the
to
reason
actually
Shade Step
work
was fantastic is because it negates aim assist and it negated the firebolt. That's why everyone loved it.
Oh yeah.
But now
yeah.
because you can't, now because of the nerf to firebolts and the changes to that subclass and the change to Shade Step, it's not that big of a thing anymore because there's better perks in that column you can use.
Yeah, and just to my Titans that are crying about your Twilight Garrison, listen, you have the fastest class in the game.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you were getting the fastest evasion abilities in the game, and you were able to use it twice in midair while you skated. I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings that you are no longer the most OP fastest class in the game. You have to get over that. It still works. It's not broken.
To be fair, I mean, if you're using the Twilight Garrison to escape, you should just stop being a chicken, turn around and be a man. You know.
That's right. Man up, primary up.
Yeah.
The Titan's one of the strongest one-on-one classes in the game purely because of its speed and skate. And all these Titans are just using it to run away from engagements. Like, why? You're so strong. Stop.
Well, a lot of it too. When I saw a lot of in trials was the Titan's already really fast, like super fast, fastest in the game, hands down. And they're using their skate on top of the Twilight Garrison to get to the middle of the map before the other team has the chance to turn a corner.
Yeah.
And then throwing 2 lightning grenades. All right, good game. I mean, GG. Let's go home. I mean, you can't do anything about it. There's no counter to that.
For lack of a better word,
hitting you in your spawn.
it was bollocks because on Asylum, if you came up against a team that just ran in with lightning grenades, they just zone you out of the middle and then it forces you to completely change your strategy you're using. And it just gave them control of the zone. People are butthurt because their favorite thing's been changed. There's loads of great utility on a Titan. Armamentarium is fantastic. Helm of Inmost Light, incredible if you can use it.
Yeah.
No
backup plans.
Exactly. No backup plans.
Ronald's favorite. No backup plans, uni remote.
Brilliant exotic.
Yeah.
People are just... It's worse on paper than it is in game. That's the only way to describe it.
That's what
everyone
they see
overreacted.
as they're reading.
It was an overreaction from everyone in the community.
You just gotta accept it, and just like we had to accept that they canceled Trials and Iron Banner, and all of us are salty and butthurt. But
well, I mean, we are salty. We are salty, but we know that it's just this time it's gonna come back. I mean, I know Trials has been cancelled twice this month, but both for reasons that we shouldn't be getting salty about. It's it's gonna come back when it's fixed. And our experiences will be better. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can just imagine if you was on a 9 or 8-0 card and then you got DC on the 9-0 and you
It'd become a witch hunt to get Deej. Why is the servers crashing when we're 8-0? Witch hunt begins. Then everyone's going nuts over something that's not kind of is Bungie's fault.
I'm not sure who else
Deej does take a lot of flack for that, for what goes on, doesn't
Deej handles his job so well for community manager.
He's brilliant at his job.
He's got the PR rating of Donald Trump.
I mean, just
except nobody's trying to shoot Deej.
That's true. Shall we move on?
Yep, I think
we went off on a tangent there.
Yes, we certainly did.
A little bit.
Are any of you liking the new chroma colours, by the way?
Green is very nice. Nope. Green is a very nice colour. I'm a fan of green.
Yeah, but I've seen some about, but I've not actually had any chroma colours myself. I do want a full set of green chroma, only because the blue isn't what I wanted it to be. It's a lot lighter blue than I wanted it. It was dark.
Then go purchase some sterling treasure.
I've got it, but I haven't equipped it on anything yet, so
I'm joking.
Play around with it some point.
The green looked good, but honestly, I'd really appreciate it if they put time into other things than making my gear shiny. Just to be honest, I mean that's just my personal opinion.
Dedicated servers or something.
Dedicated servers. Won't be with this lot of Bungie
You know, and
updates anyway.
the other patch note that I hear a lot of people grumbling about, real quick before we move on, is the Challenge of Elders changes. And the first 2 nights, I went in there just to see how it was going to react, how it was going to be, and it was still broken. So of course everybody was salty because you were getting one shot by splash damage. I mean, it wasn't even, you weren't even, I mean, you were just dying over and over, and your point totals were crashing because you couldn't physically kill the mobs because you were hitting them for 1 and 4 damage. But that has sorted itself out. Last night I was in there and we cleared up our 3 runs all the way to 96,000 in about 45 minutes. So I'm pretty sure they've leveled it out. I don't think there's, you know, I don't like that I have to get more points deducted, but I see where Bungie was going with people were just going in there with their supers and running up the score ridiculously.
Well, they can't do that now. That's a change because the scores are more realistic
right.
on the weeklies now, which is a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good because it. Well, I mean, I don't do a lot of it.
I mean, spending
I got
8
Flames
hours
Records
doing
Row
that,
last
you
night.
must be bloody mad.
Yeah. It's just to make your EPNS a bit bigger though, isn't it? Like get your name on Bungie.net. Feel good about yourself.
Yeah. What is the biggest complaint I've heard from everyone though is take trickle out of everything, and I'm on that bandwagon.
Yes.
That just makes things longer, not harder. It's just.
Anyway, I think
But other
that.
than that, did you have any more questions about the patch notes? I'm not sure if anybody. I can't see the
I
chat.
think we pretty much covered all the big topics, didn't we?
Yep, I think that just
Okay,
about
to
covers
move on.
Destiny as well. So,
Got moments of
unless anyone
triumph
else has
to cover,
anything
haven't
else.
The moments of triumph.
Oh yeah, the new moments of
yes,
triumph.
there are.
I've
Oh.
completed them.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, that was hard.
Going by the leak that someone found through the Bungie API, and with Deej not playing it down that these are the moments of triumph, I'd safely assume that these 8 we are seeing are definitely them.
Yeah.
And
Well, Deej did say though that they weren't.
Mind, weren't they?
Yeah, but they weren't finished.
yeah, that's
So
the
there
thing.
could be more added to it,
It could
or
be.
some taking away. So I'm kind of skeptical
It's a
right
good-
this second.
It's a good
It's a good
basis
starting
to go off right now, though,
Yeah.
because it covers everything that's been implemented in the game in year 2. It covers all the features of the game, and the way they're implementing it in like the SRL book is great, in my honest opinion, because it's a physical thing that you can see, other than some little emblem.
And
Then
you
you gotta
can.
go pay for it.
Yeah.
No, Deej said no. They said
Deej
they're
said
not gonna
Deej
be
has
paying
confirmed
for it.
you're
It's
not
being
Oh
paying
paid
yeah,
for it.
no, yeah, that's D just confirmed that we're not paying for it, but you know, you're saying that in an SRL book, the only way to get one of them is to pay for
I
it.
still think that thing shouldn't have been paid for, in my honest opinion. That was bullshit.
No, it shouldn't.
That
It
was,
shouldn't.
That was stupid.
But to give people an in-game way to track the moments of triumph is actually a good quality of life improvement, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Absolutely,
good.
because there's no real quest log. I mean, the quest log's kind of junk compared to all the other games out there.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal.
Yeah,
Well-
the only thing that I would say about moments of triumph, and I'm on, you know, I don't know which way to think about this, but because like I've already completed the moments of triumph. I would have probably liked it if it was a little bit harder than what it is. You know, it's like silly things that, you know, people wouldn't have thought about completing yet. Like, I don't know what to think about, but just things that would be difficult, like 10 sword kills in a PvP game or something like that. Just something harder, but then I'm also seeing it from the point of view where people don't get a lot of time on, you know, to play
Yeah.
Destiny. And to be fair, some people will sort of, you know, struggle to finish these moments of triumph, but you know, other people that play this game quite a lot, like like us lot,
Yeah.
probably all completed them or only have 1 or 2 to do.
Oh shit, I'm just gonna think of it. My honest opinion, the hardest thing on there is the mountaintop quest. That is so time consuming and so long winded that people put it off from the start. And now
I did. I only completed it about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I'm going to put my head on the
Well,
line
if
here
you're-
and say I've only completed 3 of these moments of triumph.
Really?
Three.
You've
Yep.
got a long
Which
way to
ones?
go.
Wait,
I've
let me-
only
let me
done
guess.
Challenge of Elders, The Plays the Thing, and The Third Element. Haven't done This Is Amazing,
my
Eris's Morn's Revenge, A
Oh
Blade Reborn,
my.
Return to the Reef, or The Sword Logic. I'm going to be very
Well,
busy.
Eris Morn's Revenge, though, that can be done quite easily. All you've got to do is go to Destiny Go Somewhere and just
Yeah.
tick them all off.
I'm sorry, I don't even have flipping Touch of Malice.
I don't-
You'll
that's
get
the
that
only
when
one
you
I
complete.
don't.
You'll get that with
Yeah,
the
I
fragments.
know,
So there's some motivation. We'll
The
learn
only
more
thing with
about
the
them on
50
Bubsy Day.
counts of-
So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's been a quick request from chat. You'd like us to list the moments of triumph. So the first one is Challenge of the Elders, which is to complete an Elder's Sigil scorecard in the Prison of Elders. The next one is the Plays the Thing. Well, this is assuming this is all correct, which is to complete the main Taken King quest line. The next one is the Third Element, which is to fully level a Year 2 subclass on any character. The fourth one is This Is Amazing, which is to complete the Crucible questline from Shax. The fifth one is Eris Morn's Revenge, which is to collect all 50 calcified fragments. The sixth one is A Blade Reborn, which is to complete any of the exotic sword quests. The seventh one is Return to the Reef, which is to complete the April quests, At the Gates, and Return to the Prison. And the last one is The Sword Logic, which is to defeat Oryx in the Kingsfall Hard Raid.
They might be subject to change, so don't
Yep,
quote.
all of
Don't
them, yep.
quote us on that.
Don't Cross.
These are
that was
significantly easier than year one. So
No.
Yes.
I won't agree with that.
I'd say they are easier than year one because
they were much easier.
the golden chests in year one. There was a guide up within 2 days of Destiny releasing showing all 20. You had to complete all 3 the base game and the 2 DLC's main quests. That's 7 there.
Easy.
Defeat all 3 bosses. That's another 3 out of the 12. 100 PvP games in a year. That's pretty simple. The only thing that took real time on that was the
Skoless.
public events.
Skoless.
Nah,
Skoless.
Public event farming was so tedious and boring for that.
Yeah.
I just gave up with it. I sacrificed my moments of triumph because I just could not be bothered to run around Earth trying to catch this Warsat or the Spider Walker.
One thing I will point out, the year 1 moment of triumphs required 10 activities to be complete. This is only 8. Do you think they've hidden 2? You might actually get something else.
I'd like
Well, I
to
mean,
think
like,
that.
like we say, these things have been data mined, so it's it's completely possible that if these are the moments of triumph, that they've missed some of them,
And
so
technically,
quite possibly.
from an engineering standpoint, the data mining is not a perfect process. It's not even close. What you're doing is you're pulling data from a database at a random rate and at a random table set. So then you put it all together and try to make sense of it, basically. And so you probably don't have all of the data. It's likely that you don't, especially if they noticed, and I can only hope and pray to Jesus that Bungie noticed somebody pulling on their database. But they may not have.
Well, Luke Smith confirmed ages ago that they've now got a system in place to hide certain things in their database. So it's entirely possible there's more things to complete.
Yeah, there'll be. There's
You know what it is.
so many security features for that stuff. It's hidden somewhere. I would hope it would be. I mean, Jesus, it's 2016.
Yeah.
I'm leave my car keys out on the front porch and hope nobody steals it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that just about covers it for Destiny this week. Anyone else have anything they want to say before we move on to E3?
No, I'm out.
I think we're okay for now. I think we've covered all the questions in chat.
Yep.
I do have to run though, guys. I got to run back to work. I will
Worries?
catch up with you guys later tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Be easy, and Stash, we'll talk to y'all tonight.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Alright then.
Okay then, so let's move on to E3. So E3 has been, well, pretty successful,
Been
I
and
would
gone.
say. Yeah, well, been and gone, and it's been pretty successful for most major companies. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, and also no. I see E3 not being around that much longer. If I'm going to be honest, a lot of developers and a lot of companies are sort of, well, Bungie have just shown that they don't need E3 to promote their new updates or new content that's coming out. They can just open up a Twitch channel and do it themselves, and it's probably a lot more successful than what it would have been if it was at E3, I reckon.
I think E3 is successful to show off new games, like new franchises or returning games to a franchise. With Destiny being this long-term plan, I think it would have been a bad idea to show it because people in the audience wouldn't necessarily be there to see Destiny, whereas Bungie did their Twitch stream, which just focused on us as a community. That's why,
yeah, 250,000 people tuning into that, didn't they? So
yeah,
they've got the exposure they wanted.
And the major conferences being Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, and Bethesda, they were all hugely successful in their PC gaming took an L. That conference was so boring, and it just highlighted stuff that was already on PC. In my opinion, I didn't enjoy watching it. But Bethesda released new trailers for Dishonored 2, which comes out this November. Looks like a fantastic game to play. It's like something in between Destiny content, in my opinion. I'll definitely be picking it up. What about you guys?
Dishonored was not something that I ever got into.
Me.
I saw the game when it was first coming out. I saw the trailers and I thought, that was really good. But then when it came round to it, I think there were other games that sort of trumped it, in my opinion. So I was too busy playing other games to get into Dishonored. But I mean, like I say, the game looks good, the concept looks good, but I don't know if I'll pick it up just because I didn't get into the first one.
I think the biggest thing that came out of Bethesda was the Skyrim remaster. Everyone lost it. Like it blew up Twitter. No one in the stash was like really into it because their conference was at like 3 in the morning. I was stupid enough to stay up and wake it. But as soon as you heard like the menu music come up, everyone in that theater just completely lost their mind and started singing Bethesda's praises. I personally can't wait for it. I want to get lost in that game again.
Yeah, I mean, but that was that game, wasn't it? I mean, you stuck to it for a bit. You did the storyline, but then you sort of, I'll just do this. I'll just go over this way, and then 20 hours later, you'd not even completed a single quest.
You've just been exploring this. You've been exploring this vast landscape, and with it coming to current gen, and with the addition of mods, I think it's going to be just as successful, because Skyrim was a defining game for the last generation of consoles. It brought so many new things to it. Some people put like 2,000 hours plus into the game and still haven't seen everything, which is nuts in my mind.
Yep.
Moving onwards from Bethesda, I have one game I really need to talk about. God of War is coming back.
God of War.
It looks so good. They've just plucked Kratos out. They've plucked him out of Greek mythology and put him into Norse mythology. So he's took down Zeus, and now he fancies a crack at Odin.
He's breaking every fourth wall in the world. He's going from mythology to mythology. He is the fourth wall breaker.
He's broke more fourth walls than Deadpool.
Oh,
but
yeah, but no, I mean, there's two games that I'm really looking forward to coming out. One of them's God of War, and the other one, I don't think it was mentioned at E3, which was the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I think he got a brief overlook, but because of the hypes around it, they wanted to keep it on the low.
Yeah.
I mean, the game I'm looking forward to, which obviously wasn't mentioned at E3 as far as I'm aware, was No Man's Sky.
I'm so hyped for that. Just shame it was.
I'm really sketchy about it.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it.
because it's another one of these amazing it's an amazing concept like Destiny, which we'll take a few examples. Destiny, fantastic concept, great launch, hugely successful. The Division, amazing concept, but the game died so quickly because it was boring, and that's my worry about No Man's Sky. Incredible concept. There's like gazillions of planets to discover, but you're not going to see every piece of content in that game.
I mean, I see No Man's Sky being one of them things where there's that much to do, and I still don't really get the concept of it. I mean, you've got to go around to all these different planets and catalog all these different things, and to me, it just seems a bit
tedious.
A bit just like, oh, what am I doing? It's like a second job.
I think it's going to be a time waster. I think it's going to be a time waster game, something you play on the side, because then I think it has some trading things you can do, like you can discover a planet, mine it its resources, trade it with other players, etc. I don't know many details about it because I haven't been following the game personally, and I'm not looking forward to it. There's other games I'd prefer to play this year than that.
Wow. Someone's just brought up in chat Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh yes.
Very sketchy about it because it didn't look that appealing at E3, and with it being an EA game, it's a delicate situation.
See, I've never been that into the Mass Effect franchise, so I'm not really hyped about it.
I didn't play it, I watched it a lot. Everyone that played it that I watched seemed to love the games. So I think they're riding on that initial hype of, oh my god, a new Mass Effect game. And it like blinds people of it didn't look that appealing at E3, from my perspective. What else? Ubisoft had a relatively successful conference this year for once.
I want to butt in quickly. Zelda.
Okay, go on.
Zelda.
Never played it.
Zelda has a lot of Nintendo fans extremely hyped.
Same with the new Pokemon game.
That Pokemon game does actually look pretty good. I'm just going to point
it out. It looks really good. I mean, I'm 20 years old. If I had a 3DS, I would gladly pick up that Pokemon game. It looks phenomenal. Like, my god.
Which one are you going on about?
The new Pokemon game, Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon.
And Zelda looks incredible as well. I've never been a fan of this
good because it's going to be a big open world thing, isn't it? But
is it turning to Nintendo's news? Well, that's what they said. It's going to be the equivalent of an open world. Whether it's really going to be an open world, unless you have to do missions to unlock new areas, which is kind of like a little sketchy. Yeah. But you can't really call Destiny an open world game, to be honest. But still, ignore it.
It's got the open world areas. It's just implemented a bit meh. Ubisoft conference, Watch Dogs 2. I think that looks okay. Watch Dogs 1. Well, Watch Dogs had an abysmal. Watch Dogs was abysmal. Like it rode on so much hype in the execution report. But because I think they've had the time to work on this game for the last 2 years, because I believe Watch Dogs was a launch title with the console, which is 3 years old this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be better than what it was.
Well, we hope. We hope. Of course, they could just fuck it up again.
It's all hope and speculation.
Yes.
And then For Honor from Ubisoft, that looked incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that to me looked like. That was on par with God of War for me. It looked absolutely brilliant, but whether it can get pulled off or not, I don't know.
It's down to the company.
I've not seen the actual stream from the E3 conference. I've just seen the trailer for it, but
they've released
there was a lot of talk about how passionate the developer was for that game in particular. And to be fair, I mean, things that people are uber passionate about, I will put the effort into to sort of, to
make a great game.
I'll give it a go and see what happens.
Well, it's another unique idea. It's three air quote warrior factions in samurais, knights, and Vikings fighting over what looked like water, And then you've got this one overlooking godlike figure that wanted this chaos and ensuing brawls between these three factions. And the multiplayer of it looked really interesting last year's E3, and the single player aspect of it was presented phenomenally. Like, it had you, this big Viking warrior, storming a samurai temple. Everything seemed perfect about it, and it's third person done well, like God of War.
Yeah. Only time will tell, and that's one thing that I've heard, that it might be an Xbox exclusive. I don't know how true that is. Does anybody know?
No,
it's not
I've just seen
exclusive.
a tweet that's got it that you can get a PS4 skin for For Honor now
All right.
Yeah.
from the For Honor game.
So
That was
they won't have to buy an
literally 30
Xbox.
minutes ago. Yep.
It's all about PS4 masterclass. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's PS4, then yeah, that's fantastic. I will buy it. I will give it
It's
a go.
multi-platform.
I have another game I want to talk about. You guys probably won't be interested with me in it as me because
Go on.
I'm an extreme sports guy. Steep. This looks like an
It looks
incredibly
great.
good game. Yes.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether they can
As-
really execute it.
As someone that enjoyed playing the SSX games as when I was younger, the snowboarding franchise, I think it looks nuts. Because it's took like all chunks of the Alps and made it into this extreme
And America,
winter
don't
sports
forget America.
competition. Has it got the Americas in? Oh,
Yeah.
I must have missed that. The idea behind it is amazing. It all comes down to their execution.
And it also depends how quickly it's going to go stale. Because there's only going to be so many runs that you can do.
Yeah. If they can open like a free roam type thing where you can do this activity
Nope.
and explore the
Oh,
area.
Woggles, you've really just
Right.
cut up there. You're going to need to say that
I
again.
know.
Cut off.
If they
This
had
is
a
how
free
professional
roaming
we
to
are,
it,
guys. We have our members cutting
Learning
off all the
process.
time.
learning
Yep.
process, trial and error. If they have an open world area for it, I think it'll be great. Because no one wants to be stuck in the same areas all the time. That's the
No.
one thing I dislike about Destiny. You confine to these walls. That's what I think they need to avoid with Steep.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
going to go and say that I don't really have an opinion on it. I've not seen it, and it's not the
It's,
sort of game that I would be into.
It's an extreme winter sports competitions game type thing. They seem to be heavily focused on interaction with other players that aren't friends, and you're competing against them.
Right.
It's how it was portrayed by the company.
And actually, one last thing I have to mention. Yes, this will be the last thing. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. What do you guys think?
Hesitant.
Yep, same.
Very
Yeah.
hesitant.
It might be just another division.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They fucked up the division, they might fuck this up.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
they do run the risk of it being
The
another
division syndrome.
Yeah.
The track record with recent Tom Clancy games isn't great because
Apart from Rainbow Six
Siege is
Siege.
a great game. Yeah, Siege has like broken that trend, but the Division was played for a lot for the first 2 weeks, and then turned into the Sahara Desert. It was that dry of players. It lost something like 94% of its player base, but it's gained some of that back. But with Wildlands, there's no like gear scores. There's no gear you have to go out and farm. It's all a unit of people trying to take down a drug lord in Bolivia, which I think is a saving grace from it because there is no PvP in it. So it's all PvE story driven, which is a saving grace in my opinion.
Just depends on execution. Like most of these games, we've seen what they want it to be. We've seen all the demos, we've
Yeah.
seen the trailers. Just depends on their execution and what they do in the couple of months or years until they release it. They fuck it up, well, they fucked it up. They do it well, we're gonna play it. Simple
The
as
games
that.
we've covered, the developers really did wear their heart on their sleeves about it. They was extremely passionate about everything they were creating,
Yep.
which is always good for us as consumers.
Anyway, anyone else have any games they want to talk about?
No, I think that's covered all the big names, haven't we?
FIFA 17 looks okay.
Oh,
It's
get
got
out.
this,
Into
no,
FIFA.
no, I'm going to talk about it because it's a AAA game. They've got this new story mode coming in for once. It's not it's not you choose this team and everything.
Can we just put the story in air quotes, please?
Air quote story where you start off as a young player and you have to work your way up to becoming a professional and you sign for teams and stuff like that. Oliver, stop.
Sorry. I wasn't listening. Sorry.
It looks interesting. The reason I'm mentioning FIFA is because they finally used a good game engine in the Frostbite engine. That's all I'm going to say. They've finally used a good engine to build their game on. That's all I've got to say.
I've been asked in chat to mention Final Fantasy 15, whether I mentioned 7, the remastered 7 before, but Final Fantasy 15, any opinions on that?
I'm not.
Never
I've never
played the game,
Final
so
Fantasy.
I can't comment.
No, can't comment.
You see, I was big into Final Fantasy. The very first game that I really got into was 7, which is why I'm looking forward to this remastered version. I've played them all, but I really started to dislike them after 10. 15 looks interesting.
Looks great.
It looks great. It looks interesting. You know, I mean, hopefully there's going to be some betas out there that we can have a play about with and see before we actually purchase it. But yeah, it's going to be one of them. We will see. It could be great. It could be
Abysmal. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that wraps it up for our E3 section, and we're just going to be ending the shows in about 5-10 minutes, and we now go into our Get in Touch section. So you want to let us know how we're doing in the show? You can either leave us a review on iTunes or your podcast app of choice, or email us at thespeakersecretstash@hotmail.com with any topics or feedback that you want to discuss. You could tweet us at thespeakerstash, or check the Speaker Secret Stash on Facebook. Also be sure to check out our Twitch and YouTube channels. We have a new schedule up on the Stash channel, which you can find in the information box. And our final bit of plug-in for the Stash shop is that we now have the Stash t-shirt shop up and running. If you can find us by going onto represent.com and search for the Speaker Secret Stash. We're running a campaign, and we have a couple of designs, and all proceeds will go to fund some cool competitions in the future. Anyway, and now we're on to the final section where we have the shameless plug-in. Let's start with Twitch. Yes, what are you going to be doing this week?
Hopefully some PvP.
Up in here, that one.
Yeah. I mean, I've not got all the hopes and dreams set on it, but I mean, hopefully we get something, some sort of update this week.
We'll find out come the week.
Yeah, we find out what's going on. Hopefully there's a bit of communication either to Thursday and Friday and what's going on with this. When we can be I think we should do a week-long trial session. Would you want to give us something in return for missing out on 2 trial sessions? Is what I'm hoping for. It's never going to happen, but
Yeah. Anyway, where can we find you?
I am on Twitter and Twitch over Twig1987. You can see my schedule on Twitch when I'll be on. I pretty much do stick to that schedule. I also do stream on Secret Stash Twitch channel. My time's on schedule.
Now on to Roggles. What are you going to be doing this week? Where can we find you?
I will be streaming some regular Rift, Twitch.tv/Woggles. My times are stated on the Stash channel as well. We should be live for Salted Saturdays if trials is a thing. If not, then I'll probably get salty and some mumble and do some weird stuff. Is that it, really?
And I have been your host, JGO. You can find me on Twitch at JGO7. Actually, no, you can't find me at JGO7G anymore, as that's not my channel anymore. You can find me at G71OGJ, which is JGO17G backwards. And you can find me on Twitter at JGO17G. I'm going to be doing a load of random stuff on my Twitch channel, load of random stuff on the Stash Twitch channel. And yeah, that just about sums up what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Anyway. Thank you very much for watching the...
1 second.
Dan,
do you have anything to add?
I'll be streaming on just in the center, just actually at 9
Wow.
Anyway, I've been your host, JGO17G. I've been accompanied by Irish Road, who's no longer here, Twig1987. I am Waddles, DO7Monkey81, and we have been the Stash podcast hosts for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.